Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw Tips and Tricks, and somebody sent me this chair. Well, I asked them to off Facebook, and there's a couple things wrong. They want to make the chair a different size, but if we select it all, one, I can see something right here that's basically invisible, but it's there, so we need to get rid of that. And then there's some things leaking, and we're going to use the Smart Fill tool, and this thing is only like, I don't know millimeters, but it's 103, so we're going to make our nudge factor 120. We're going to take our Smart Fill tool and we're going to fill that in and then nudge it out of the way. Now when we do this one, we're going to have some leaks, so this isn't going to particularly work, and the leaks are very visible right here. The lines aren't joined. So we can take the smoothing or the shape tool and select that up. I need to ungroup it. It shouldn't be grouped, but I'm going to go like right here, go to group and ungroup all. Then I can take the shape tool. Let me zoom in here first. And you can see it highlighted them all. So I'm going to do the whole chair. And I'm going to go to Windows, Dockers, Join Curves, and set this on 0.5 millimeters, which I know very little about. And it should have joined everything. So now we can use the Smart Fill tool, and it did. So we'll move that out of the way. And then we'll do this chair. There should be identical. And I think they are. This one looks like it's got something else. It's got another, well, I guess they both do. I just didn't notice it because it's up here. Now, we only need one of those chairs because they're identical. So I'm going to delete all this. And then I'm going to actually flip this chair around to make it look right. Bring it over here, and I'm going to left click No Fill and right click Outline and a hairline. Now, this chair is 150 millimeters tall. She wants it 100 millimeters. So if you group everything together, or not group it, but kind of put it together like this, grab it all, so we're still 150 millimeters with your ratio locked. We can go 100, and it made everything the same size, and you can kind of test that with your, just bring this over, well, that's a different part. This part actually goes into here. But trust me, it's right. Now, we're going to need two chairs, but we only want to do, or two sides of the chair, we only do one thing at a time. She wants the tabs to be 3 millimeters. So if we look, this part doesn't matter. It's this part we need to make the 3 millimeters. It makes it a little bit more difficult because of the curvature of the line. So what you could do is bring in a indexing line. So you've got something to measure from. Take your parallel dimension tool, and I'm going to make sure I have snap to guidelines on. And I'm going to take the parallel dimension tool, and you'll watch it snap to it. And then go to that edge. So we're at 2.58 millimeters, and we need 3. So we need 42 millimeters more to make it 3 inches long, or 3 millimeters long. So we're going to change this to 48 millimeters. Now we're going to take our nudge tool, our shape tool, and grab those nodes, and we're going to nudge them. Oh, 0.48 millimeters. So we can grab these nodes, just the outside ones, and nudge it over ever so slightly. Once we've done that, we can actually do them all. What that's doing is making the wood that's going to stick out through the other pieces of wood. I didn't grab them all. You're going to need to make sure you grab them all. So that piece is done. Now we need to do the same thing to that side. And it's just as easy. They're rounded corners first, which is kind of cool. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get the same measurement, but we'll double check on it. Get the parallel dimension tool and go from there to there. And now this is a little bit different. It's going to be 46, but I might not have snapped to that line perfectly. Really, I need the outside of that line. Let's measure it again. 0.59. So anywhere in there close is going to work. I don't know why that's not snapping to that edge. But anyway, we're going to leave the nudge factor the same. And then this time, we're going to do both these at one time. And we're just going to nudge them over ever so slightly to get the thickness of that wood. Now we've done the male parts, we need to do the female parts. They're actually just as easy. Well, we also need to figure out how, this is the top two parts. So we need to figure out how wide this is, take the parallel dimension tool and measure that. And we're at 8.83 millimeters. So we need to make this thing 8.83 millimeters. So we can go to the parallel dimension tool and you can see we're 8.83. So it didn't really change that hole, which is kind of amazing. I guess because it made it relative to the size, because when we measured it down. Now this one might be a little bit different. Might not even have to do it at all. But we're going to grab this parallel dimension tool, and we're at 13.25. So we'll measure this at 13.24, which is perfect. So now we only need to change is the center parts, the thickness of the wood. We made sure the slot was right. So here we take the parallel dimension tool. And we're only at 2.65. Now on this particular one, we're going to do a little bit different. We're going to get rid of this measurement. And we're going to take this block, so we need to ungroup everything or really break the curve apart to get that part. We're at 13, so we're going to unlock this and we're going to make this 3 millimeters. See how easy that was? It made it, because I have the ratio unlocked, it's not going to change this number, it's only going to change this number. Now this is pretty much the same thing, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult because they're at an angle. So what I would do is, for just a time moment, group this together, Control G, and rotate this guy to where those items are kind of perpendicular. We can bring in an indexing line, and I did pretty good. So now we need to break it apart again, ungroup it, take that item, and we need to keep this unlocked because we need this number to stay the same, but we need this to be 3 millimeters. Now, the only thing different is that we need to make sure that's in the center. Let's take away our indexing line. And they're really pretty close to the center. I would let's set our nudge factor on something low. I'm going to change real quick to inches, and I'm going to change this to 0.02. Then I'm going to grab both these boxes, and I'm going to ever so slight, well, that's even too much. Forgot how little this thing is, 0.001. Grab these two boxes and just kind of move them over just a little bit till they're more in the center. Now, we've done just one side of the chair, but if we take the Smart Fill tool and fill that in and nudge it out of the way, And that really didn't help that much, but we're gonna left click, no fill, right click, hairline. So now these chairs are identical. They're solid. You can straighten this thing back out. That doesn't really matter when you're cutting it. And then Control D and make a duplicate. And then you have both sides of the chair, the back of the chair and the bottom of the chair. And you could always test. Let's rotate this thing 90 degrees and just kind of bring it up closer. Grab, and this is a little bit hard because of the rounded corners, but you can see how that's going to fit in there perfectly. Now, this chair is pretty little. It's not going to take much wood. I mean, that's only 10 inches by, and I don't even have them nested together. You know, you could do a lot by saving wood by, you know, flipping one of them that way and grabbing it and put it in there. You know, save a little bit of wood, take this piece and put it in there. Take this piece and put it in there. So now you've only got a piece that's 6 by 7 inches big. I would still maybe test my joints before I cut the whole chair out, but maybe in this case I wouldn't. I've got a couple of videos on how to test. You know, you just make a kind of a small part of it and cut them out, and then make sure you're, because 3 millimeters in one brand of plywood is going to be different sometime than the other next brand, and even the same brands. Sometimes 3 millimeters isn't going to be exactly 3 millimeters. And if they're a little bit tight one way, you're going to sand it anyway, so you could sand it just a little bit. And I'm not talking about sanding the edges. I'm talking about sanding the top part and the bottom. You want to sand it anyway to get the burn residue off. I might even cut one of these out later today just to see what it looks like. But anyway, I hope that helped a little bit. Thank you for watching.